The Los Angeles Lakers have evened up their series with the Minnesota Timberwolves. 94-85 in game two. Luka Doncic goes for 31 points in this game. The Lakers defense played pretty well throughout the course of it, holding the Timberwolves to 85. You and I were both at that game, Rachel, and I came away from it with mixed feelings about it. I mean, if you're the Lakers, you got to be happy that you got to win. Like going back to Minnesota, down 2-0, that's untenable. You're not winning 4 of the next 5 against Minnesota. It just wasn't going to happen. So they get the win. On the other hand, like they had 13 points in the fourth quarter. Like they didn't exactly close strong down the stretch. So you have to wonder if some of the problems that have come up for the first couple of games of the series are still going to be there as this series shifts back to Minneapolis. So give me your general thoughts on what you saw last night from the Lakers.
I thought it was interesting. Look, they have the best player on the floor. That's very clear. So we always say the team with the best player on the floor has the advantage in the series. So I would still kind of have to go with the Lakers in this series just because of that. I do think Anthony Edwards at his best can compete on that level with Luka. I don't think he can be the equal to Luka, but I do think he can compete there. The thing is, you're asking a 23-year-old with still somewhat limited experience to be at his best all the time. And he, unlike Luka, does not have a second behind him like LeBron James, which, by the way, is such a fascinating dynamic right now. We can get into that. But Ant doesn't have that. So last night after the game, I don't know if you went into the Wolves press room, but Ant was in there and he was saying that he's like, yeah, they were running kind of a zone on me. And he acknowledged, he goes, I got
They were,
confused,
yeah.
right? And I've seen some coaches and scouts kind of describe it more as a box and elbow, which is something I could not break down for you. But whatever it is, they are obviously pressing him in a way and surrounding him in a way that made him, in his words, confused and uncomfortable. And we saw him with 9 assists in game one. He had 0 assists in game two. And that was largely because when he was swarmed with defenders and passed out of it, he wasn't passing to someone to make a play. He was just trying to get rid of the ball. And that does not lead to assists usually. So I think that Chris Finch is going to figure out a way to game plan out of that. That seems like an adjustment to the adjustment that we see often in NBA series. I don't know. Sometimes those adjustments stick with players and they just can't fight their way out of it. I think that's going to have a big impact on the rest of the series. On the Lakers side, there is a natural tendency when you're up big to get a little sloppy at the end. I think they were too careless, as you said. LeBron seemed to get a bit tired at the end of the game. And so I don't know how that's going to affect things, especially as they go 1-1. It's every other day. Right now it's every 3 days, and that's going to switch to every other day once they get to game 3. But I also think it's interesting to see the Luka LeBron dynamic playing out because it happened like this. Anthony Davis was supposed to take the mantle for LeBron, and LeBron was supposed to be allowed to sort of gracefully age, slip into a 1A kind of role, and let the younger guy do most of the work and still be the savvy guy, the guy who always knows how to defend if he has the energy to, all of the things, leadership that LeBron brings to the table. And it never frankly happened. LeBron was always clearly the alpha of that team. And this time, not only is Luka clearly sort of the point of the spear for the Lakers, it happened in a day. And I do think it's kind of interesting that what was supposed to be sort of a gradual multi-year transition happened with a phone call and a trade. And all of a sudden, LeBron James has a very different role than he's literally ever had before on any NBA team he's ever had to play for. And I think part of him likes it. And I think part of him is still probably adjusting to it a little bit.
So to borrow the device of which team would you rather be as this series moves forward, I think I'd rather be Minnesota.
Ooh, okay.
The Timberwolves played really bad on Tuesday night, really bad.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards had a decent final stat line, but he couldn't get it going until third quarter. Julius Randle was really good. That was kind of an A-, B+ type of game from Randle. But Naz Reid, who was great in game one, was awful in game two. Jaden McDaniels, who was 3 for 3 from three-point range in game one, he didn't make a 3 in game two. Top to Mike Conley didn't make an impact. It was a bad game. And yet, despite them playing close to as bad as I think they could play, they were still within 9 points with 3 minutes left. They still forced the Lakers to take a timeout with 3:17 left on the clock. So they were still right there going into it. I think what hurt the Lakers in the second half, to go back to something we were talking about a moment ago,
Yeah.
Luka has to stop hunting Rudy. Like I know he loves he loves, generally speaking, the center screens, right? Like he loves hunting centers. Like he always wants to go one-on-one with a center. That's been his MO for his whole career. But he especially loves to go after Rudy. And he's put Rudy on posters. He's put him on highlight reels. He has made him a YouTube clip, Snapchat, Instagram, everything. What all the kids are watching, TikTok, he has made Rudy go viral. It felt, Rachel, watching that game last night, that he was trying to do it over and over and over again. A couple times he did. He had that play in the second quarter where he went to the basket, ball faked him, hit the baseline jump shot, camera pans to him, he's yelling, sub him out about Rudy. Like, he had that moment. But in the fourth quarter, and really the whole second half, he was hunting that switch, and he kept trying to do everything on his own. I thought that was malfunctioning or screwing up the Lakers offense. And I think people, talking to people around the team, like they agree with me on that one. There was too much, Rudy hunting. And look, you want to take advantage of Rudy on the perimeter when he's on the floor. Austin Reeves did it. Luka did it. Everybody's going to try to do it. But that can't be your entire offense, because Rudy, even though he has all these viral moments, is not as bad as you think. Not you, but other people think.
I couldn't agree.
In these small ball lineups.
Pretty well for most of last night. Go back and watch possessions he was defending. And he's generally, and I don't mean like by a little bit, very much a plus for them in that category. I know that other players resent that he won Defensive Player of the Year for 4 years in a row. Gets back to your why wasn't he the most unpopular player? But the fact is, he is a very good defender and still is, and actually made some pretty strong defensive plays. And I couldn't agree with you more. Luka trying to hunt him and make him mess up in situations, Rudy actually handled a lot of those pretty well, because Luka wasn't coming from a place of good ball movement and right opportunity and good positioning on the court. Luka was coming from, where can I find this guy and chase him down? And honestly, that's going to go to the defender most of the time, especially if a defender is halfway decent, which Rudy certainly is. So I think that is something that they can clean up. I think that's just sort of a conversation between JJ Redick and Luka, and then probably a follow-up conversation with LeBron James. And that's why when you say, who would you rather be? I still think, even with the issues with the interior defense, the Lakers at their best probably just have more to overwhelm offensively the Wolves than the Wolves at their best. But, not everyone's going to be at their best all the time. And that's what makes this series so interesting. And the Wolves, they are scrappy, man. And that home crowd is really impressive. Mm-hmm. And the Lakers shouted that out last night. You had several guys, and you can tell kind of when they're trying to butter up like the opposing crowd. This wasn't like that. This was like, oh yeah, we got to worry about that crowd. That crowd's insane. So
Luka's been there. Luka, played it against it last year. It's a good crowd in the postseason. I think among the Laker problems though is like they need to reduce one player from their rotation. That player is Jackson Hayes, who is not good in this, at least in this series. He is not good. Like, that was, what did he play, 8-9 minutes in game 2 after playing 8 minutes in game 1. That was probably the least effective 8-9 minute stretch you'll ever have. 5 fouls and 1 goaltend. That's how I track Jackson Hayes. Like, he did not play well. And look, Dorian Finney-Smith, it puts more pressure on him. He already played close to 40 minutes in game 2, but they're going to have to play small ball for almost the entire game. And they're going to need Finney-Smith to make shots, Hashimura to make shots, Austin Reeves to not go ice cold in the first half the way he did in game 1. They're going to, I guess I still stick with I'd rather be the Timberwolves, but the margin is slim. It's
very
close.
Slim. What were the starters' numbers overall for minutes? Do you have that in front of you by any chance?
It was high.
I felt like it was really high. That JJ felt like he had to really work these particular guys, and that's something again that I would.
And Finney-Smith basically became the fifth starter on that one.
Right.
But I don't really have it in front of me. But it was a lot of minutes for.
I think there were a lot of those guys in the 40s, and I think that's something else to keep an eye on, because again, and by the way, several guys are on the locker room, and JJ mentioned this in his pregame press conference, pointed out, oh yeah, well, pretty soon we're going to go to one every other day. And I think it is top of mind for those guys.
Yeah. Dante DiVincenzo, too, non-factor in game 2. Got into foul trouble early on. Role players generally play better at home. And I think the Wolves can count on some of their role players showing out a little bit more. I think that game 3 is going to be huge. That could be that's a huge game in this series.